I'm glad I did because it's only 50% done. Okay, here we go. I'm glad I did because it's only 50% done.
And a delay.
Yep, kick back.
Okay, everybody. Okay, here we go. Do you guys hear that back noise?
Yeah, the playback.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how do I? Hey, everybody. There it goes. Welcome to StuntPOC webinar. We're just going to take a few more minutes for everybody to get in. Everybody give a shout out to our panelists and coordinators to let us know you're in the room. We have 103 people in here already. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The Television Academy and StuntPOC presents diversity in film and television among the stunt community. We're going to start off by introducing our panelists, and then I'll go over some house rules, and then we'll get started with our first Q&A. Representing Los Angeles, we have Dorenda Moore.
Hey guys.
Hello, Dorenda.
Hello. How's everybody doing today?
Representing East Coast, New York, we have Cort Hessler.
Hey everyone, welcome.
Representing Los Angeles, we have Eddie Perez.
Hey, welcome everybody. Bye.
Representing Georgia or the Atlanta area, we have Thom Williams.
Dirty South in the house. What's up, guys?
Representing Vancouver, Canada, we have Lauro, Chartrand-Devalle.
Hi, everybody. I'm not in Vancouver, but I'm here with you.
Representing Los Angeles, we have Larnell Stovall.
What's up, everybody?
And representing, let's see, Toronto, we have Angelica Lisk-Hann, but she will be back soon. So she's getting some bad weather in the area, so hopefully she'll join us again. But we're gonna, there she is. Angelica, we're gonna introduce you right quick. Representing Toronto, Canada, we have Angelica Lisk-Hann. Just say hello.
Hey, Al, sorry about that. We have a really bad storm here and everything just kind of blew up. All of the lights went out, the power is out everywhere. So I apologize. I'm not gonna be in very good light, but
it's okay.
Here.
You still here. We see some friends over there. Hello guys in chat room. We're gonna go over some quick housekeeping rules before we get started. The chat room, the Q&A that you see at the bottom of your screen is just what it is. It's for Q&A. It's not for hustling. It's only dealing with questions regarding diversity. If you have a question for the panelists, ask the question. If it's for one particular panelist, make sure you put their name first and then you type out your question. We'll try to get to your questions as you know, this is an hour and a half webinar, so we can't answer everything. Hopefully throughout the panel, your questions will be answered. Over in the chat room, this is where you give shouts out to your coordinators. You can say hello. Throughout their meeting, the StuntPOC team will be posting information on how you could contact the coordinators, their social media handles, and any other pertinent information that we think that you should have. So that'll be over in the chat room. So make sure you can say hello and everything to your stunt coordinators. The purpose of this webinar, the diversity webinar, is to increase the awareness, because this has been a long time in the making, especially as the creator of StuntPOC. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jwaundace Candece. I'm a stunt woman and actor, and also the creator of StuntPOC. This webinar has been a long time in the making to increase the awareness of diversity among the stunt community. And hopefully with the stunt coordinators that we have on our team, we have a huge diverse group, as you can see. And these are some of my favorite coordinators that I've worked for in the past. And that we could maybe close the gap and bridge the gap in communication, perhaps not just with diversity, but talk about issues with equality and inclusion in the stunt community. So to get started, I want to ask my first question, and this is for the whole panel. And I want you to take about 2 to 3 minutes to answer. Explain to our panel, to our participants and attendees, what is your hiring process of stunt performers and stunt doubles when it comes to working on a project of yours? Let's start with you, Dorenda.
Well, hello. First of all, the process, it varies depending on the show. It also kind of varies depending on whether it's a feature film or whether it's a television show. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times with feature films, we have a lot more time to train somebody that might be a little closer to the actual look of the actor. But usually with my hiring process, of course, I find out who my actor or actress is and see what their capabilities are. And then I try to pair them with a double that obviously looks like them size-wise and height-wise and weight-wise. But then also what's imperative is that they have the physical ability to do what we need them to do. And so that's number one. It's like you can be an identical look and an identical match to the actor, but if it's riding a motorcycle and you don't have the skills to ride a motorcycle, if you're a martial artist per se, then I have to look for somebody that's a motocross rider or a motorcycle rider that looks as close to my actress or actor as possible. So that's usually where I start is looking at sizes, and then I go into, of course, ability is so important, because in our industry, if you don't have the ability to do the job, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Good thing. Let's go to Eddie.
I second Dorenda, what she had to say. Basically, as far as diversity and what we're talking about today, it's more about ND jobs, which has been where you really get to meet people, and you have, sometimes the stunts aren't as big, so you get to just bring people in and see what they're all about. I mean, I know for most of us, that's where we get to know people. You need 30 people, you bring in, a group of people that show what our community is, color, even some of the elderly stunt people that have been around for a while. You have to remember that they also don't work as much anymore. So you have to be aware of that. So I try to kind of mix it up and show also what society is all about. I mean, right, in the old days, it used to be, well, we don't need any of you guys, all I need is ND people. Well, ND means everyone. So everyone, you bring women, men, people of color, people over the age of 60 if you can, just to show what the world really is about right now. And that's how you kind of bring everybody together. And also it allows people to get to know each other.
Okay, that's good. Thom?
Hi. I'll see me because I just see Jwaundace. Okay. So, yeah, building on what Eddie says, that it's a great opportunity when you have a bunch of utility folks to bring in a cornucopia of people. And it is a really good testing ground. A lot of people call it, glorified background work. Well, I like to call it longevity days. If it's an easy day where you need a bunch of people, you bring in a bunch of folks, you bring in some people that are going to kick ass and do the job right, that you have experience with. And then, like you said, it's a great opportunity to try out new people there and to see how they're going to work out, and hopefully find some gems that you're going to be able to use again later. As far as hiring doubles go, the most important thing is obviously safety and skill set. So obviously you're going to have to match what your doubles are going to look like, but that match gets smaller and smaller depending on the qualifications of the people you're looking at. So it's definitely a tighter niche to try and fit people in as opposed to utility.
Okay, let's hear from Lauro. You're next. Lauro Devalle.
Looks like his screen went black.
Okay, let's
Mike-
do Larnell. Let's go to you.
Hey everybody. Well, my process obviously is based off of the script, but I enjoy, like Thom was saying, finding those gems. Once you submit, I do check YouTube, I check Facebook, I check IG. I try to see what's out there, you know, because we all have our favorite people we like to go to because our reputations are on the line with everybody we hire. But I enjoy the process of giving somebody a new opportunity instead of the same person who, you know, really don't need that daily or that weekly. So I would just say concerning my process is I try not to keep the same people because I like new energy. I like discovering new people. If I can get you Tab Harley, which I've been blessed to do for the last few years with a few people, I go for that, you know. So keep it up, keep submitting the videos, keep improving the skills. And hopefully we all see you on set.
Good job. Then we'll go to Cort.
Hello. So building on what everybody says, because it sounds like we all do the same thing. Part of my process starts in the concept meetings. As a TV stunt coordinator for Blacklist, you know, our show is pretty international, so we have quite a diverse group of hiring practices, which is great. But we get into ruts where it's a certain look for like 5 or 6 episodes. So in my concept meetings, I'm always trying to find places for people who I'm not hiring, race and gender. So I'll see a certain sequence in the script and I'll just frankly ask the director, do you care about ethnicity or gender? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say no. So I look for those spots within the script that I can help, bring everybody full circle into working.
Good job. Angelica, you're next.
Hey, everybody. If you lose me again, I apologize. I'm in the middle of a torrential thing. I'm not sure what's happening outside. So I've switched to my phone, so I should have enough power to get through this. I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Cort said in the beginning stages and when you're in meetings talking about, what the show looks like. I use this analogy, like if there's going to be 6 cops, I'll just submit all different sizes, shapes, and colors of cops. I don't really ask, I just do. I find that sometimes if you ask, hey, so how do you feel about 4 black cops? That question could be offensive to some, or some may say, no, I'd like all the cops to be white. So instead of asking the question, I will just submit those folks. And this far, I haven't had anyone, say no. I think also to get to that stage of submitting people that you feel should be working. When I look outside, I see what it looks like outside. So I just try to make sure all the shows that I do represent what the real world is and what things look like outside. I tend to hire the same people as support around me, like my stunt safeties and people of that nature. But I really try as many new people as possible because, as Larnell said so eloquently, it's about opportunity. And there's so many great people out there that just need the opportunity, just need a chance. So I try to really let everybody have a chance.
Good job. And we're going to conclude this question with Lauro.
Hi, everybody. So like Cort said, building on everybody else's thing, but one of the things that I try to do is just when I'm starting a show or when I'm coordinating is don't use the same excuses that everybody uses. Oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time to search out the right double. I don't have time to look up these people or find out what their skill sets are. You took the job, you got to make the time. So that's a part of it. And looking at the culture and the script and the ethnicity or lack thereof in the script, it all starts with the story and communication with your director and the creatives above you. You have to follow
Okay.
But I'm like Angela, if they don't call with the director, what are you looking for? Doesn't matter. Just I need a girl between 5 and 30. Okay. So I sent her 6 pictures I've got Asian, I've got Black, I've got white, I've got everything in there. So she's got choices, and that's what it's real life. You gotta think about real life and what you see on the streets and what's happening in the world today.
I like what all of you said, because all of you had different experience, and you also mentioned diversity, not just Black and white, but you mentioned age, you mentioned size, you mentioned height, things of that nature. So when it comes to ND, a lot of people email StuntPOC and they ask, what do they see if there's 20 ND roles, they see 18 of them are white men, or 18 of them are white men, male drivers. And why is that? I see it because sometimes I'm the only girl, me and Crystal Hooks, you know, down here in Atlanta, and then everyone else are white drivers. So, but it happens. And for those of you who don't know what ND is, ND means nondescript stunt. It could be you in a crowd of people where there's an explosion going on, or you're running, or you're getting tackled, and things of that nature, where that involves a huge crowd. So when it comes to ND, one of the questions that we had come up this week that everyone, I would say 80% that wanted to ask, wanted you guys to hear an answer on, how do you tackle diversity when it comes to ND stunts? Who wants to take that? Or what do you do, Cort?
Well, you just have to have, you got to get rid of the old mindset of the, you know, the early days when there wasn't the diversity, not that people were discriminating, but there wasn't enough diversity that people wanted to do this job. So it kind of grew from there as far as what I feel. I'm very conscious about my ND hiring practices. You know, I've had times, I've had 10 ND drivers, 8 of them were women. And it was just because I don't use that many women on blacklists when it comes to the action sequences. So I think, you know, as long as you have an open mind about your script, you know, you have, you know, if it's set, if the storyline is set in a certain way where all the actors are one race, then you got to try to get the ND spots in there. But there's also situations like just the opposite in Buffalo. I know when they were doing the purge up there, they couldn't use any white stunt people because in the ND positions, because it wasn't part of the city, part of the story's location. You know what I mean? So a lot of it has to do with the script, but a lot of it has to do with the coordinator just trying to keep track of who he's hiring or she's hiring, and trying to make the numbers equal.
And I like what you said, and I like your mindset that you take into account your environment, the theme, and everything like that. And we have to increase the awareness for the other coordinators to do the same. And speaking of that, does anyone want to touch on that again when it comes to diversity? Lauro?
Sorry, just unmuting.
Yes.
The thing that I want performers to remember, you know, coming at it from a stunt performer myself, is first off, safety is the key and utmost importance to all the coordinators. You got to hire the right people with the right skills. So although it's my job as a coordinator to look for new talent and look at their skill sets, it's also obviously the talent's job. If they want to work for a certain coordinator as an ND driver, they better promote themselves and show themselves doing some driving, hitting some marks, you know, that they can be trusted and are safe. And then, as Eddie mentioned earlier, that's the chance where you get to test people. So I won't put them in the hot spot right off the bat. I've got my key drivers, whoever they might be, or key doubles, and then they'll be in the back to start out with. And then if I have an opportunity to say, okay, I need you to slide up to this mark. It might not be in the thick of it, but at least I can see that they can hit their mark and follow direction. So it's the onus is also on the performers as well to make sure that they're approaching coordinators and showing them what they can do and raising their bar for their skill set.
Good job. And Larnell, let's end it with your information on it.
Well, for me, like everybody was saying, unfortunately, when you're in TV, if you're really cool with the writers and the showrunners, sometimes you get a heads up about what's coming up or which direction you're going to go into. So you're able to plant a seed about, hey guys, we were really light on NDs, we're really light on diversity, or let's go and make sure on these next few passes when we start revisiting scripts before the next production draft, studio drafts, let's go and insert these things now if we can. You know, or let's pull from this scene that had 2 and give back to this scene that we can get 6, you know, and then just try to make sure that, hey, is it open? Okay, great. If it's open, let's be diverse. Let's go and put some girls in some spots that they normally don't get, you know, let's have some female fighters for a change, you know, or, hey, well, why can't she fight him if she has powers? Okay. Does height matter? Does size matter at that point? So And then you get the writers thinking more. And as long as you can start getting the writers to think, it opens up the field for us to have more opportunities to hire different people who normally don't get a chance, you know? So I would just say my job is to make sure I communicate with the writers so these stunties can get in spots that they weren't even considering at first, you know? So
and I like what you said, Larnell, having to prove yourself and you seeking out the gems, because I've seen you done it. I've seen you giving people with new opportunities to prove themselves. And I think having video and promoting yourself is good on that. And
yeah,
step back to
I'll
what
give you.
you said.
I'll give you one good example just because it might help somebody to stay motivated and, you know, pursue getting that iPhone in that park and putting themselves on film. Canada, I love their process of how you really do have to prove. If you're going to fly somebody in, they better be damn good at what they do. And fortunately for a show on Alta Carbon, I got a girl, basically Taff Hartley. All she had was one YouTube video. But in that one YouTube video, she had 3 sets of skills that I could not find with anybody: gymnastics, capoeira, and weapons, all in one video. She got approved, permit got accomplished. Next thing you know, she's on a 4-month run from one YouTube video that displayed everything. And I couldn't find it nowhere, you know? So stay focused, put yourself on film. Headshots don't do it anymore. Get yourselves on film. Turn that phone sideways, sit it up on a book, get in that park, grab somebody, stop the excuses, show what you can do.
Good job. Our next question comes from Mark Wade. He asks, networking and mentorship is even more important in your segment of the industry than any other. What can stunt coordinators do formally to improve the mentorship and networking opportunities for POC and women? That's a good question. Who wants to answer that one? Go ahead, Cort.
Sorry.
Cort.
Well, being the national chair of the Stunt and Safety Committee at SAG-AFTRA, I spearheaded the new program for stunt coordinators. And as it's, you know, it's still in the rollout stages, it's going to be going live. But when it does go live, there's a new mentor program. And the mentor program is for stunt people who have 250 days or more. And what it is, the main design about it was trying to get more people on the stunt coordinating side to learn it before they just jump in and do it without any experience.
Mm-hmm.
The key factor to this and what makes it great is I made it a blind process. The stunt coordinator cannot pick the mentor for the day. So there's no diversity, there's no race, there's no gender. When somebody gets into the program, they get a coordinator for the day and they follow that coordinator for the day. So again, I think it's great. It takes favoritism out, it takes everything out of it and makes everybody equal. So I will say that about the mentor program.
Where can they find the information? Can you type it in the chat room when you get a chance?
It's on the SAG website.
It's on the SAG, man.
Yes,
our StuntPOC team will put it on the website.
Yeah, SAG-AFTRA website under stunts. Just go to the drop-down screen, stunt, and it'll show up. I know it's different in Canada, and that is here in the United States for SAG-AFTRA. But I was happy that they approved it, and it will be. It's not live yet, but it will be coming soon.
That's interesting. We can't wait to hear about that. Angelica, let's talk about Canada.
Yeah, I remember when I was on the National Stunt Committee, I think it was 2 years ago, and we were basically presented Cort's idea to everyone to talk about that. And the thing about that really, really rang so true with me, and it made me so happy and excited to want to do something like that here is, I mean, it is what it is, but people usually, it's human nature. You kind of stick to your own and you like to help your own people out. That's just how it is. It's, you know, I was lucky that I had some really great men that helped me and mentored me, but there's only a few female coordinators here in Toronto, and there's only a few stunt coordinators of color. So if we're thinking long-term and we're thinking about mentoring, I mean, you know, I think this is a great way to go. I don't know that a lot of people would feel comfortable to go to somebody and say, hey, you know, I'm really interested in the stunt coordinating thing. It's something that I might like to do at some point. You know, could I be mentored by you? I'm sure a lot of coordinators here would love to do that. I know some may be skeptical or might not want to. So I really love the whole blind part of it, of not knowing who it's going to be. and just mentoring. I mean, I would love to do that or have something like that happen here. So, you know, I think there's a lot of things that SAG's doing that we could kind of adopt, and maybe in the near future that'll be happening. So.
And keep us posted on that so we could hear more about it, and I can post it on our website. And to piggyback it off that, Danielle Golden asked about, is there any other option for mentorship for those not at 250 days? Is there some type of pre-mentorship, or do they have to wait for that? Do you want to answer that, Cort?
Well, it goes back to the roots of how we put ourselves out there. So we had to put, this is for stunt coordinating only. So, you know, meaning people who want to take that next step, but mentoring out there, you got to go out and find people and, you know, play the game that we everyone in this room has gone through, where we show up and help carrying pads and just stand back and listen and watch and hand your resume, you know, pounding the pavement, you know, meeting the people. That's where it starts. That's where I started anyway. I know Thom wants to say something, so I'll let him go.
Yeah, and you be a little pushy, not like on the bad side of it, but show some initiative. Go after it. I mean, when I wanted to move into coordinating, I just about harassed Al Jones and Merritt Yonka into letting me go into meetings with them, go on scouts and break down scripts, and they were generous enough to do it. So you got to find people that have the right attitude, and then just talk to them.
And don't be afraid to knock down doors, because there may be coordinators who have a bad day one day, like Thom sometimes, but then 5 days later, he's that happy person. So I'm joking with you, Thom.
Sometimes
he's never happy.
Cort, we have another
football
question.
team loses. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And they always lose.
Okay.
Okay, wait a minute. No, I'm joking. Cort, this one's also for you, and this would be to wrap up our mentorship question. This is from Jessica Bennett. This is addressed to Cort. The needs for mentorship have a lot of holes to fill. One needs to be a number of days to get into the program, and the days alone have been harmful to women and performers of color overall. When it comes to the pool of performers to internal days, will performers be able to submit availability in order to not lose additional days? Also, mentorship is difficult to find these days. What is helping or pushing coordinators to participate?
Well, that's am I muted? No. Okay. So that's actually a great question. And that's where we as coordinators have to put ourselves out there and be involved and help with this program when it goes live. That's the only way these things work, and the only way to a good future for our industry. So as far as not making the days and women and people of color, as we go further into this industry now, I do feel like there's more opportunities because more people are waking up to being in this industry. So there's more opportunities. On top of, there's more opportunities because there's more work overall between all the streaming channels, all the networks, and all the studios for film and, you know, for theatrical releases. But I do agree there are some holes. This is something to start with that we never had before. So it is a start, and the blindness part helps that. But under 250 days, the thought was you should really be concentrating on becoming a stunt performer first. So those first 250 days are learning to do the stunts. And then once you have that much time, and now you may want to be a stunt coordinator. So now it's time to enter that program and mentoring to become a stunt coordinator at that point, right? So that's our thought on it. And Jessica, you're right, there's holes, but it's a start.
Okay, Dorenda, did you have something before Larnell?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think the stunt coordinator program, it's great in the sense of the 250 days. If they're going to just give somebody to you, you want to make that person making sure they're credible. If somebody is going to be put in a position where I'm not actually choosing. However, I did want to say that in addition to that, I love to bring people on before the 250 days, even as stunt performers, because the program is fantastic, but I think even more so bringing on young stunt performers that may not have 250 days. That's where we start. That's where we get to know if this is even something that we want to do. And a lot of times I can do that if I've got a girl or a guy that comes forward and has the initiative to say, hey, this is really something I'd like to look into. So don't be afraid to speak to your coordinators and say, hey, this is something I want to do. even if you don't have 250 days, because the truth is, being a coordinator starts way before that. And I love bringing new people in and just being able to kind of guide them and letting them break down the scripts, talking to them about budgeting. I mean, just basic stuff about looking at a script and where a stunt actually takes place. Is a trip and fall a stunt, or is a fire burn a stunt? So working with new people, I think, is great. So I would encourage, if you're out there and you want to be a stunt performer, regardless of whether you're a man, a woman, black, white, Hispanic, take the initiative, like Thom said, and go and talk to your performers or your coordinators and say, hey, this is what I'd like to do. And I may have only been in the business a year, but I really want to do this, and really put it out there, because I love to utilize those kind of people.
You guys hear that? Thank you, Dorenda. That's why I love you. We go get Larnell, Eddie, and then Larnell.
Being on, since I've been on Snowfall for 2 or 3 seasons now, and Shameless, I try to use my main doubles and talk to them and work with them with the script. And then when I'm doing multiple things that I can't be on set, I give them a day here, a day there, a chance to be on set and be coordinated, to see how they do, because they're familiar with the crew and everyone around them. And it helps because everybody knows they're just getting started, and they work with us. So it's about familiarity as well, and people that know you and trust you. So that's kind of how I've done it throughout the years, as far as mentoring people. It's like you bring your doubles up, or the people that you have that work with you all the time. You give them a day here, a day there, and give them a chance and see how they do.
Okay, Larnell, that's a good one. I like that, Eddie.
Okay, so in the age of COVID and the age of things changing concerning hustling and how things used to be, showing up on that lot, sneaking past the security guard, those days are gone. So we have a social media stage. You have to be real careful with this. So, and this applies to mentorship. Know your skill set, know what can be improved, and then align that with the coordinators you want to work for that specialize in things you're a beginner at, trying to become an intermediate, and eventually trying to become advanced. If you're a martial artist, learn the martial arts language. If you're a driver, watch driving sequences, watch things that you could email somebody about or ask a question about. So that way you're showing true interest. Don't come up to me if you don't know the latest fight scenes from the best, hottest movies lately, because then it tells me you're not really studying your field, because I might need that specialty that's hot right now that producers are hot on. And I may go, oh, well, I'm happy this guy's studying Salat. I'm happy this guy is studying Muay Thai. Guess what? Thank you for hitting me up. Send me that reel again. So make sure when you hustle people, you're bringing some type of common language so you can stand out amongst the other 100 submissions, okay? You're home, do your research right now. Study, get the videos together. Go to IMDb, know who you're hustling. Know their last 5 projects, know what their specialty is, know what their interests are based off of the projects they take. And guess what? You might go, these 5 coordinators, I'm aiming to work for. That's what I did. Thom knows I aim for Hiro Koda, I aim for JJ Perry, I aim for certain people. Yes, I aggravated them, but I made sure I understood their lingo, their language. So that way, when I was around and we spoke the same language, I felt like I was around my tribe, okay? Find your tribe, find your people, know who you want to work for. IMDb is your friend, okay? Start that process, okay? All right, us.
And my thing about that too, I work with and I'll get to you, Lauro. I work with a ton of coordinators, and I find that every coordinator is not going to like you, and that's okay. Hustle the coordinators who like you, because if they don't have a job right now, they'll have it later. I hustle Thom, I hustle Larnell, all these people right here, I know they like me. I hustle them. And
I still don't like her.
But he know I get the job done. So, but I feel like, don't feel bad if everybody's not going to like you just in your personal life, but hone the qualities and keep hustling and showing the ones who like you what you can do different. Lauro?
I just wanted to mention that on the West Coast, UBCP is our union there, also affiliated with ACRA. But I just wanted to pass this on to everybody, as well as put it in Cort's ears. We have an ultra low budget program with the union. So people that want to do a movie that's $100,000, $200,000 can come in and use union performers. Now, a lot of times they can get a waiver that they only pay the performers $100 a day, or sometimes they don't have to pay them anything. this is not something that a normal coordinator that's working on all the time is going to want to do. So nobody wants to take those shows, but yet they need a stunt coordinator because they have some little stunts, some smaller stuff. So what we've set up is a mentorship program for coordinators, where if they want to coordinate an ultra low budget, they have to get 4 coordinators who will basically back them up. And then out of those 4, 1 actually becomes the mentor. And they are available by phone at any time to help with questions. They do a Skype or a Zoom meeting for the production meeting to back up the person, the younger person that's coordinating. And you go through the budget with them. You go through all the scenes that they have stunts on. You just basically are coordinating over their shoulder for them, but you never have to go to set, and you oversee everything. And then on the days, they know what to bring to set. You've already gone through it with them. They've got a 100% coverage. And if they need you to, on the day, oh, this has changed, what should I do now? Or I'm thinking of doing this. Is this the right decision? You're there in their hip pocket to help them. And that's the mentorship program we've set up with UBCP.
Good job. And
great.
if you can type that information in the chat room, if you know on that. Dorenda, did you have something to add? Or was that Thom?
I think it was Thom.
I was giving a thumbs up.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Now, the next
yeah.
question is a really good question coming from one of our attendees, Lauren. What are your thoughts about hiring a stunt double who looks like the actor, but is not the same race as the actor? Who wants to tackle that? Thom?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to go that direction. Again, it's about the skill set and the look. And it's also about discussions. One of the first things I'm going to do in that case, like say it's an actress and she is African-American, Black actress, but light-skinned, and maybe our Lauren, who asked the question, Lauren Kim, who's a fantastic martial artist and fighter.
Exactly. She's
and
amazing.
reactionist. Let's say the actress is so light-skinned that Lauren makes a really good double for her. I'm definitely going to consider that. You can't gloss over the skill set and shoot yourself in the foot by limiting. To me, and I've had discussions with JC about this and a few other people.
Yeah.
I think as long as you're staying in the POC realm,
in the POC.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm
In the
not hiring a
Yes.
white girl to paint her down, then I'm comfortable in that decision, because again, safety and skill set are the first 2 things. So
Yes.
Lauren, if you're a good looking match for my actress and I need that skill set, you're who I'm going to hire.
Good job. Eddie?
Yeah, I know Larnell and I have had this conversation a while back. Some of the issues we've been running into lately is because of everything that's going on. Everybody's hypersensitive, and the people that are in charge have to be awoken to the fact that there are different shades of black. Because we've had issues where they're saying you can't darken a girl down a little bit, a tone.
Yes.
If somebody comes in that's white, that has a suntan, sometimes you have to put makeup on them to make them a little whiter, but yet you're being told you cannot. And that's something that we have to kind of dance around right now, and it's become a big issue. I know Larnell and I had a conversation about that about 2 months ago.
Yeah,
just
it's something to be conscious of moving forward. And I literally got into a battle with producers about this situation, and it's to the point where I'm like, look, okay, guys, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sacrifice safety, talent, quality, or my reputation, expectations on what I deliver just to match a skin tone. Okay. All right. If so, you can get another coordinator. All right. If it means 2 shades is the difference between you being comfortable and me doing my job effectively, get another coordinator. All right. That's what the bottom line is. So I went ahead and got who I needed. I made sure the skill levels were on point, but then it also did open up an opportunity for someone new to step in because of the skin tone, that I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to search. But fortunately, somebody was out there who's been rehearsing, practicing, had video, and guess what? Right place, right time. Now during COVID, you've had more time to improve and get your skills set up. So, there's gonna be different situations about that. But yes, I used to take some lighter skinned Black girls and make them darker, if they match somebody body-wise, height-wise, but more importantly, skill-wise.
Skill-wise, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was the main situation that I know I needed to get accomplished. So yeah, every situation is different.
Good job. Anybody else want to touch on that? I know that there are plenty coordinators, a lot on here, who have had conversations with me about, crossing the lines. I personally don't have a problem because I know Black people come in different colors. A lot of us are like myself. And there are people who can do both. That could be Hispanic, who could be Black. I worked on Suicide Squad where I had to play a South American, and you could cross over with that look, and none of us had an issue with that. And I just would like to see coordinators who actually, instead of sometimes, and this happens with a lot of people, I have my list of questions right here. Do your search first. As long as you did your due diligence, we don't have a problem with you having it, like you said, getting Lauren Kim. I like Lauren Kim anyway. She's fantastic. I think she's amazing. Dorenda, and I don't have, we don't have a problem with you doing that as long as you do your due diligence. Dorenda.
I just want to say that's actually another great reason for people to make an effort to make their tapes and get out there. Yeah. I love doing hustles with meeting new people. And after Black Panther came out, I can't tell you how many young, new women of color I met, and honestly, men of color too, but it was amazing. Amazing. And I didn't know that they were even, stunt performers before they came and introduced themselves to me. And at that point, I spent a lot of time talking to them because I was so happy that they were around. So part of it is make yourself known, because the more opportunity that I have to meet you, the more opportunity you have to work. So get out there and meet those coordinators, because it's one thing, it is our job to hunt and search for the right person for that job. And again, especially with television, I know that they can be very nitpicky about skin color and skin tone. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because of, I don't know why, but a lot of times they want you to have exactly the same skin tone. It's not okay to do any kind of darkening up of skin. It's all right, but they're worried about how is it going to look? Are we, is it going to look natural? So the more people that I meet and I learn who you are and what you can do, it just makes my job so much easier, and it makes the community so much better because there's just more choices. So please.
That's a great example. Let's go to the next question, which comes from Jared Burke. Where do you see the biggest disparity of diversity within stunts? I personally feel rigging is severely lacking in diversity. So what do you guys think? Who wants to tackle that?
I can see that a little bit.
Okay.
But again, it goes back to motivation and going after it. So if there are performers of color who want to be on the wire team, go find a wire coordinator and study your butt off with them. Learn wire gags, learn how to tie knots, learn how to fid, learn how to do everything you're going to need to do if you want to be on a wire team. And yeah, there is a huge need for wires.
There's a need for riggers, yes.
And that we've run into issues out here where if we have 5, 6, 10 people flying on wires on Doom Patrol, I have a hard time finding utility wire people. So it is definitely a good spot to go into and learn to make some money.
Okay, the next question I think is quite interesting. I love from Don. What is the oldest age of stunt performers do or will you work with? That's diversity, is age. So what's your question, Cort?
Well, no, I was just gonna say Charlie Pacherny's 84 and he's still doing it. So
yes, I think so.
It's like,
yeah.
You just gotta, when you start getting into that, like if I have to double an older person with an older stunt performer, we just need to know what the action is. You're not gonna do a car hit at 75 years old.
Right.
I'm not gonna do one at 50 anymore. But
exactly. Amen to that.
Right. You gotta know your limits. And as you get older, your bones aren't as, healthy as they were when you're 20. We don't wake up after doing a car hit the next morning and say, let's do it again. We wake up 3 days later going, I don't ever want to do that again. So that's all relevant, to what you're doing.
I'm going to do that again. Right?
You're right.
I say that after production meetings.
The next question comes from Katrina. This is a really good one. What skill is currently needed that is underserved? Depending on, diversity, what skill is needed, you think?
Driving.
Driving and rigging.
I think
Yeah.
driving and rigging. I think so.
I'm
I
going to
think-
say, I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench on it. I'm going to say action design. Okay. Think
Oh,
about any person of color, minority, whatever, that you can go to for fight choreography, editing, and walk away and say, hey, go choreograph this for me. I have to go scout. I got to go check this. I got to do this. Get the camera, film this for me, have it edited by 5 p.m. so I can present to my producers by 6 p.m. Okay, take care of that for me. I can't think of many different ones out there, and that doesn't involve age, doesn't involve anything. It involves just creativity. So if you're not the best kicker, you're not the best puncher, you can't flip, you can't drive, you can't, guess what? Pick up a camera, get some editing software, study some fight scenes, learn how to make the coordinator's job easy. I'm retiring from fight choreography. I would love to pass on and say, hey, this person's been coming up. I've been watching their stuff.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're coming with me on my next show for 7 months because I'm tired of choreographing. I'm so happy you can do that for me now. Male or female, doesn't matter. If she can pick up that sword, whatever, choreograph it for me, put together some hot action, guess what? You just got a 7-month run. Send me your stuff.
And to piggyback off of that, when you say drivers and you say rigging and you say fight coordinator, a lot of people that I hear say, you know, it costs a lot of money, you know, to go to Rick Siemens or go to Bobby Orr's. What I used to do to get I had an old 360, I had my 360. I used to slap my car around all the time. No one knew. I went out and used to just drive my butt off. Dee Bryan and I, most of you guys know her. She's a great driver. She taught me how to drive and ride motorcycles. We used to tear up the dirt and stuff in LA. So I did take Rick Siemens' course one time because it was $3,000. That was a lot of money to me. It still is a lot of money to me. But after that, after he honed me with so many skills in those 3 days, that I nurture that every year, you know, that I go rent a car. So try not to get in the excuse of, you know, you don't have any money. Like Larnell said, rent someone else's camera, find a friend who has old cars, you know, or stunt people get together and y'all rent a car. That's what, basically, and have that. Lauro, did you have something to say?
Mute. Sorry, just unmuting here. I'm sitting by the highway, so I can't keep it on all the time.
Okay, that's fine. Did you have something to add to that, or we go to the next?
I wanted to say, and I agree with Larnell, and I agree with the driving thing, but every skill set needs more people of color. Literally no matter what stunt I'm looking for, when I go looking for people of color, the numbers are so much smaller than white folks.
It is,
you know, just because it's been so many more years of white guys doing stunts and stuff like that or whatever. Just train. Back to Larnell's thing, train in anything and everything that you can. If it costs money, save that one for later if you don't have the money, or find a way to do it. But pick a skill set and train at it.
And post your videos, because there's a lot of people who are not on StuntPOC, who are new, whose name I know, like Iva Titanium. She's not in SAG yet, but I follow her. You know why? Because if Larnell calls and says, I need a tricker, there's another girl that I follow. Then I know two, you know, Ivy, then I could say, hey, I know these two. I've contacted Monique where I've said, hey, you're looking for a Black girl when she was doing Avengers. I know these two. If you need them, I follow them. So I see you guys. So make sure you post everything on Instagram, tag us in it, because I keep names of all people of color who I feel like when they come to me. Thom?
So when I was prepping Watchmen, when Doug Coleman and I did the pilot for Watchmen.
Oh, yes.
We were trying to find a fight and stunt double for our lead, Regina. And I was having, you know, a very specific size. She's very muscular. So I wanted to match that body type. And I'll never forget, I was bored on Instagram and I see the StuntPOC Instagram, and it was Sadiqa Bynum's reel. And I was like, holy shit. Watched it a few times, called Jwaundace, called Natalie Padilla, who was good friends with her. I mean, it was all because she had put some cool shit on Instagram and trained her ass off. So,
and she works hard. She makes a difference. She
works hard. So
it's
get out
things
there,
like
get out
that.
there and get noticed.
And Sadiq had been in contact me and Dee a year before that. You know, a year before that, where we were saying, train, get video, get footage. You know, it'll happen. Eddie, you had something to say? Eddie?
Yeah, I did. In light of what everybody's saying, please remember, if there's no better time if you don't have your SAG card right now to get a SAG card, get Taft-Hartley. So if you're out there and you're not SAG, put your stuff out there and make people aware that you're out there. Because again, when I started, you didn't have the opportunities you have now of video, and people are looking for people of color. So there's no better way right now to get work than to put yourself out there. What Larnell was saying, and Thom, and everyone's saying.
Our next question, I think we could tackle it in the chat room for this. This is from Jeff. With COVID potentially cutting a lot of indie jobs, what are other ways incoming stunt performers that up-and-coming stunt performers can meet and build on-set relationships with coordinators?
I'll do a quick thing about COVID, just because I'm on the task force for SAG-AFTRA for it and help write the guidelines.
Okay.
You know, all the questions about COVID, what's going to happen when we go back to work and stuff, we can't really answer them yet because we don't know. You know, we may start up and then shut down again right away just because of what. Look at New York 4 weeks ago when we had 12,000 cases a day, and now we're at 200 cases a day. But LA has 4,000 cases a day now. So the COVID questions, I'd love to be able to answer them for you, but nobody has the answers to those COVID questions yet. Unfortunately. Now, separating that, because the second half of his question was, how do you meet people outside of going to set? Well, I think that's what social media is a great thing for. Go to the Facebook pages, like, there's New York Stunt Facebook, or New York Stunt Players. There's Atlanta Stunt Players. There's all these Facebook pages. I'm talking Facebook because I don't Instagram. I'm old school. There's all these social media ways of getting in front of stunt coordinators and meeting them. I mean, I know Angelica from Facebook. I mean, we've had a conversation before, but get yourself out there in social media, meeting these people. You build a relationship that way without even having to build on being on set. And then it's actually a much more comfortable way to meet them when you actually meet them in real time, because you're like, oh, hey, how's it going? It's like you've known each other for a while. It builds up a little bit of relationship. So that'd be my answer.
And speaking of that, in the chat room, you could find that our StuntPOC team has put together information on how you could contact the coordinators here today. So make sure you go back and review the StuntPOC chat room, and that's what it's for, so you could get their information and to email them. Angelica, you had something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. I'm on the COVID-19 Back to Work committee here at ACTRA as well, and just going through conversations about what it's going to look like when we go back. And, sadly, when you think about, what this virus is about and staying away from others, well, the first thing to go really is the intimacy. So anything, being kind of close. And then the next thing was really going to be stunts, but then having a larger conversation. I mean, you could sit back being a stunt coordinator and be fully protected, but then the idea of having your group of people fighting, and or having stunt actors having actor action happen. There's going to be a lot of conversations that are going to happen between actors. There's going to be conversations that are going to have to happen between stunt performers. And I mean, especially for somebody like Larnell in a show like Titans, he's got a core stunt team. So will they all decide to not go outside, all stay together, get tested every 3 days? I mean, there's a lot of ways to make things happen. I think there's just going to be bigger discussions. And the second part about how to meet people and how to do that. Unfortunately, a lot of the older stunt coordinators aren't on social media out here anyway in Canada. They're not on. They're not going to these sites. So what we try to do here is we have a stunt Christmas party that myself and Tanny Cardwell, Shane Cardwell's wife, started, so we could get the young folks out to meet the coordinators, shake a hand, have a beer, get to know people in not such a, that atmosphere of like, here's my resume, here's my resume, here's my resume. So I find that social events help. I know you guys do a stunt hustle out in LA and different things of that nature, but I think that, those of us that can organize and do things like that, it would be really, really beneficial to keep organizing and let people get together on a more of a social end that way.
Thom had just put one together in Atlanta right before COVID, and then COVID happened and shut everything down. Remember that, Thom? So we do that.
Yeah, we've done it for 5 years, and we weren't able to do it this year because we did the Christmas party We did
That was something with the SAG
was the
Foundation.
No, it was the Taurus Hustle.
Taurus Hustle, yeah.
So we're going to have a viewing for all the Taurus nominees that we had to shut down. But yeah, we do the same thing. Is every Christmas, there's like 5 or 6 of us to get together and do a charity hustle down here. You got to bring a toy, goes to Toys for Tots and a local women's shelter, and then you get to hang out and chat for a while. But
yeah, so we'll plan to do more. And for right now, we'll
Yeah.
I have more webinars. Our next one, I try to have one every other month. It'll be different themes. The next one may be all women, so we could talk about women's issues and have a board of all women and the issues we go through as women. But we'll get to that until the next question is from Jessica. She says, do you all use the stunt websites like Stunt Phone with social media and the use of available lists? These sites can be seen as cost discriminatory. Thoughts for women and BIPOC folks to be seen. Anyone want to answer that?
I look
Yeah,
at
well,
all of them.
Yeah, I use them all, and there's a lot of free ones out there.
Mhm.
You know, Stunt Listing is one that I
Yes.
use a lot. It's New York, and
A
it's
lot,
free.
yeah, yeah.
You can choose to pay more,
Personal.
to pay and be like premiered, but it's absolutely free. And I use the entire site. I don't use just the premiere. I look at everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
use the sites as well because it's easy to carry at this day and age. Carrying an iPad is a lot easier than carrying all these pictures and resumes. So, I mean, it's a wealth of knowledge to have.
Good
Yeah,
job, Eddie. I like that. I like to hear that you at least people feel like they get their money's worth. Tom.
Oh,
Yeah, and most of the sites have apps now that are really good. They combine well on the iPads if you have them on set or even your phone. And as far as the cost offset, I mean, one day is going to cover all the sites and then
All
some.
the sites for the year.
And like Cort said, there are several that are free. If you can't afford them right now, concentrate on those, because I check all of them. So yeah, I mean, you gotta turn over every stone.
Okay, the next question actually comes from Scotland. We have someone from Scotland. So diversity is not as rife in other places. In an industry where the discrimination and wage equality, is this common in stunts whereby women and men are paid differently despite having the same skill set?
Not at ours.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it yet.
Yes, it does happen.
Look,
No,
us
but-
women, we're
but-
quiet. We're like,
I want to speak to that though.
Okay.
Women are underpaid on the adjustment. I know for a fact, and I've seen it a million times. A guy will do the same stunt as a woman, and he'll get twice as much adjustment. They can't do it on the daily because that's a union rate, and we have to stick to that. But definitely there is discrimination, and I disagree with it wholeheartedly. That men should be adjusted more just because of whatever, right?
That's 100% on the coordinator.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah.
hey, Tom.
I think a lot of that has to deal with people just hiring their buddies and wanting to hook them up.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot. I've seen women. I've been a victim of a bunch of girls. We had to do a stunt where we were in heels and short skirts, and the guys had on full, so we couldn't have on pads. And then the guys walked away at the end because we see the adjustments, and we're noticing they're getting $200 more, and we're like, But I was young and green then, and I didn't know what to say. I think today, especially after panels like this. Do you feel like it's safe how do you question or confront a coordinator if that happens as a woman or as a POC? What do you say to that when it comes to your stunt adjustment? That's a good question, I think.
Yeah, I think you got to know your stunt coordinator, choose who you work for.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point, obviously when you're building your career, it's hard to do that, but there's stunt coordinators when I was younger, I won't work for, and I won't.
Yeah.
And it's
Same
stuff
here.
like
Same
that,
here.
and it's safety issues, and it's other things. So,
Okay, Dorenda.
Jwaundace, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just would like to say if there's any producers that had tuned in to watch this, because I know a lot of people at the Television Academy are watching. I would say as a producer, take an eye on that with your Exhibit Gs or the forms that are signed out. If you notice that you have a group of people and some people are making a larger adjustment, like Jwaundace was saying, when the rest, I think that's a conversation that you have with your stunt coordinator and say, what is this about? Because it should not happen. It makes sense if they're in the same scene and let's say a woman doesn't get to wear any pads, which happens often. that she's going to get adjusted more, or if one guy, falls down 3 or 4 times, even if they're all running together, that he would get more. But if they're all doing exactly the same action, that shouldn't happen. So I would say, from a producer level, just keep an eye on stuff like that. And I think that helps all of us.
Angelica, good job.
Yeah, amen and yes to all that. But I'll even expand this a little further to encompass, women and people of color. When I started coordinating, when you start coordinating, there's a minimum that you can charge that's in your IPA of what a stunt coordinator is, paid for the day, and then you can negotiate up. So when you start out, obviously you're being paid that amount. As you get more experience and you do more shows, you start to be paid more as you start to be better and do better. So the funny thing with that, like Laura was saying, talking about just the difference of men and women in a pay scale. So let's say, a Black female stunt coordinator, you're trying to negotiate your pay with, who your producers are. You're not always going to be getting the top amount of money. You really have to find producers that are going to pay you, what you deserve to be paid. So that is also, I don't know if any of the females have had that too. You have to fight for that. You do. You have to fight for that pay. Yeah. So not every show when you're starting out, you're not going to be paid what the men are. So, if you're having somebody cover for you or something and they're like, oh, this is all you're getting. And then it becomes yeah, that's all I'm getting.
And I've learned, Angelica, after I did my car hit in Los Angeles, which I'm not going to say who it is, but everyone knows that infamous car hit I did. After getting that and seeing my stunt adjustment, I learned from that car hit to ask ahead of time, what is your budget on the stunt I'm doing? Especially if it involves something like I had to ride a motorcycle on fire, and I asked the coordinator, Andy Russ, who likes me, he's very generous, what is the stunt adjustment? He did not get upset by me asking that. I think it's fair because do you all agree that is it okay if a stunt performer asks, what is your budget on a stunt adjustment before? Or, sometimes stunt coordinators will get mad at that. So what is your thoughts on that?
No, you should. I mean, it's business.
Yeah.
That's how this business runs. I have to know what the stunt adjustments are before we get there. I give a range of what I'm going to give for an adjustment, and I'll tell a stunt performer, I'm looking at, say we're going to do the car hit. I'm looking at $2,000. If you do the car hit the right way, yeah.
Okay.
If you do 5 takes,
well, yeah, and
just to
piggyback off of the girls in heels and the crowd sequence. Yeah, most of the times we have blanket stunt adjustments where we go, okay, it's going to be done so many times. Let's go and make sure I can give everybody $600 by the end of the night. Oh shit, he shot it from this angle, this angle, this angle. That's why I just kind of nudge my producer and just kind of do this. And just give them a heads up, like, hey, don't look at the G sheet when they sign out, okay? Because we did at least 12 takes, all right? So I'm giving you a heads up. But that's what a coordinator has to communicate with the producers as well. So that way your stunt family feels well taken care of, since they're putting their bodies on the line to make us look good at the end of the day. And it's not my money. I would love to continue to give more, but just, but be reasonable. Okay. She had heels on, she had skirts and whatever, and she's slipping and falling. Yeah. So guess what? Some of these girls, they might get an extra 200 or 300 above the guys. You had knee pads on, hip pads, everything, so I try to keep those things in mind. But since we're piggybacking about money and different things, let's go and advise our new talent when they come up about doubling actors and asking for double scale and different things like that. Let's start getting on that. Okay, so please be humble about if you doubled an actor for 2 seasons, 3 seasons, and the actor's not requesting you. It's the stunt coordinator. You're not in their contract. You're not entitled to get double scale. You might lose a job simply for asking for double scale, because now you got producers are like, hey, guess what? Your double is asking for double scale. He looks exactly like him, like the actor spit him out. But guess what? I'm not paying double scale to carry somebody multiple episodes who might not have action every episode. Be reasonable, young people. I don't care if you could flip in the air and twist 3 times and sing hallelujah before you hit the ground. That does not entitle you to those type of things ahead of time. Talk to your coordinator ahead of time. If you think you're going to ask, if you think you're entitled, he might give you some advice and say, you know what? Sure, go for it. You're in season 3. Guess what? You might be entitled to a bump. You might be entitled to something different, more than the next person of who's coming in for scale. It's okay to ask, but just don't feel the sense of entitlement, okay? That's all I ask, is just be professional about it, because there's a lot of people who look like people and match people really well. And they think they can just jump to the next show and get more money because they're so good. And then they get a piece of humble pie when you go to the next show and you're at scale. All right. So just want to address about, you know, your talent, how long you've been working for somebody, develop a relationship with the coordinator where you feel there's an open floor to have dialogue about, hey, sir, whatever, season 3, just checking to see if it's okay if I check with the producers about if I can get a little bump or something. Oh, yeah, sure, go for it, buddy. Just keep me posted. Maybe I can speak up for you, you know, but just don't assume. That's all I ask.
I like that. I like that, Larnell. Eddie, I think you had something to say.
Yeah, it's also about what we were talking about earlier. Everyone here has been a stunt performer, started out as a stunt performer. There are a lot of people that just want to go straight to stunt coordinating, and they haven't done the stunt, so they don't understand. They want to get the job, so they're like, I'll give this guy $100 for a car hit because it's just a car hit. They've never done one before. They don't know what it feels like to do it 3 times or 4 times, and you're laying on the ground, and the camera guy goes, shit, sorry, I missed it. Can you do one more? And you already feel your body getting sore and slowing down. You're like, well, do it quick because I'm not gonna be able to move in about 5 minutes. So it's respecting the craft. Pay people what you respect them, what you think. I mean, everybody knows you wouldn't do something for $100, but people do it, and it's shameful.
I like that. Thank you, Eddie. We have a really good question next. From Mark, given the safety and paramount, is there a space for the disabled in the stunt community, especially when there's a wide variety of disability, hearing impaired, vision, amputee, learning differences, etc.? Have you ever used a performer with a disability? Are there disabled interests in becoming a greater part of the community? Who wants to tackle that?
I have in the past, and fortunately, it was just something I created within it, where one of the stunt guys, I believe Casey Perez, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Casey.
Thom, yeah. And that's up to coordinators to find a spot for them sometimes. Like if my hero has to go through 10 guys and he's superhuman or he's powerful, or we're trying to go for vicious brutality, guess what? He just snapped this guy's leg in half and it bent backwards. Wait, there's somebody who can do that? How many? No, there's a guy. Okay, so guess what, buddy? You just got flown out for 2 weeks. You're gonna rehearse with us just for this one gag, you know, but it's on the coordinator to find those spots or tell writers to create those spots for us. But if you're out there and you do have a specialty that can be utilized, it may help me find a way to create a spot for you. So don't be afraid to show something that might seem weird or that you might be afraid to show people you can do based off of something that someone else might be considered an inability. That I'm like, hey, that's a plus for me, buddy. You know, guess what? I'm so happy you showed me you can do that. Don't be afraid. Okay, let us know.
That's a good one. Anyone else on that one? Okay.
Sure. There's actually, sorry, Jwaundace. There's actually
go get Angelica. I like that.
There's a gentleman, the name is escaping me right now, but there's a gentleman out here in Toronto who has prosthetic legs, and you know, a very athletic guy, very smart, really nice person, and he's been utilized in a lot of different shows and programs, and he's just great. You know, thinking of building a scene and there's an explosion or someone's, you know, leg has been blown off or something's happened, you can utilize him for something like that. So yeah, I mean, keep an open mind and try to find spots for folks like that. I think that's great.
I think
there's a thing with Casey Perez, get some skill sets in the sense of also, like he's got a suitcase with a prosthetic leg and explosives, so he knows how to blow his own leg off when he's doing an air ram from explosion.
I love that,
so make yourself valuable. So I know I can call Casey and say, hey, I got this war scene. I need you to get your leg blown off and go flying through the air off an air ram. No problem. Got my bag. I'm ready to go. You know, come out of the box. Make yourself useful. Make yourself skillful. Make yourself needed. You know. So that's a great way to do it.
Eddie.
Yeah. To that, Casey's been great about mentoring people that have amputees and stuff. He has a whole list of people. So if anybody feels that they had that skill set, Casey's also a good person because he's my go-to person. If I need certain people, he'll send me pictures and resumes, and he's very active and very helpful in helping people get work.
Thank you.
That's
I think
awesome.
that, I
That's
think that's
awesome.
amazing. So age is not a factor when it comes to stunts, and so are disabilities. So there's a place for all of us, which leads to our next question. Someone sent in, what steps has SAG-AFTRA taken to ensure diversity on a set, if there are steps?
Cort.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole department for that at SAG-AFTRA. So they're constantly working on it and making sure that we can expand on diversity. I don't know the specific answer to that question because I don't know the routine, but there is a complete department on it.
Okay, good. And then she'll list the SAG website and you can find it. Lauro, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I just want to, I know a lot about both unions, and I just want us to all work at pressuring our unions to make any complaints anonymous, in the sense that if a coordinator is blackfacing somebody and hiring a white person to double a black person because they haven't done their due diligence, and that somebody complains to the union, oftentimes that's found out, and then that person never works again. They're blacklisted. So people need protection to help this work as well, to make this so that we can police ourselves, because the union, they're not sending people out, and they're not in the makeup room, they're not in the trailers, they're not keeping an eye on it. And when you do phone in to make a complaint or alert them of something, it often gets back. So that's something that we have to really work on.
Yeah, I agree. And I piggyback off that after Dorenda. Go ahead, Dorenda.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the big companies that have their diversity division, and everybody's trying to, I know the Television Academy, we have a diversity committee where we're trying to not only educate ourselves, but educate each other on what that looks like. You know, I think it was Thom that said, or Angelica, I think you said, I look outside and I try to emulate what it looks like outside. So I think at one time, you know, people weren't thinking that way, but I think that the more we start to think that way, and through the different groups that have diversity, and I think it helps. I know I've seen changes from when I started 25 years ago of what non-script stunts looked like. And it's correct. It was mostly, you know, white male. So, and then of course it started a little bit more of, how do we bring more females in? And that's, you know, kind of a few females added up here and there. And now it's like, okay, well, it's not just male, female. There's a whole diversity in ethnicity between, you know, Asians and Blacks, and I mean, in a mix. So I think that the different companies are trying to do that now. And I think that the more we kind of educate ourselves, and educate each other, I think the better, you know, the better it's going to be.
Larnell?
Okay, one thing, this is a piggyback on that, also to address earlier about how can people be more useful with COVID and indies sometimes being cut down. I'm going to say this, and you know, people who have the skill for action acting, this is the time to put action acting stuff together, because they're going to want to cut down on actors who have 5 and unders, or, you know, 3-4 lines here and there, who are going to need a double to go through the window or get shot or do a fight scene. So that's where you become so much more valuable to us, when I can comfortably submit your reel, whatever it is you have, to producers and say, hey, this person will not need a double. Let's go and allow them a chance to audition for this role. And you might book multiple episodes as a stunt actor. But I'll say this, please don't change. You're still under the stunt coordinator, okay? If you book the role, all right?
Which up to my next one. I was gonna say something like that.
Yeah.
I'm an actor myself, and I'm also a stunt woman. And I always ask coordinators ahead of time. I used to run from my acting side because I didn't want the stunt people to know that I'm an actor, and vice versa. But now I find that it's an asset. On Thom's show, Doom Patrol, I had to audition, right, Thom, for Doom Patrol for a role that came up. The director knew that I was a professional actor too, and actually allowed me to have
which, to go along with something Angelica said earlier,
Yeah.
They were asking for men, and I just threw you in there, and you ended up getting it.
And he brought in the women, which I love about that. That's one thing I love about Thom. I ended up being the bus driver in it and having lines. So don't hone your skill. Hone your skills, not just as stunts, especially with this COVID, like Larnell said, but as
Yes.
put some things on tape if you have. Say a couple of dialogue while you're doing your fight.
Yes.
While you're doing
Yes,
this.
yes.
That really helps.
That's going to be key. That's going to be key to some people making a living now, honestly. But please, please, please make sure the stunt aspect and that skill set is sharp as well, okay? Let's not get it confused on trying to use acting to book stunt roles, okay? Just make sure you're very sharp in that area too, because at the end of the day, you're going to be responsible for people's safety, you know, being trusted to fight this actor, you know, just because you gave 5 lines perfectly, I still need you to do this 10-beat fight scene, okay? Probably within 2 hours. That's the only time I have left. So let's get it. So just be sharp on both ends, okay? That's all I ask.
And we have another question, which we're finalizing, and we got about 15 more minutes. It has become evident that a person's interpretation and definition will vary on diversity based on a person's experience and exposure. So tell us your pronouns. Then what is your definition of diversity, equality, and inclusion? Is it all the same? Anybody want to tackle that?
That's pretty broad, but
Yeah.
it kind of goes back to what we were all saying earlier, is just taking everyone into consideration. Don't shut the door on any one person or group or ethnicity or gender. I mean, you have to consider anyone and everyone for the job. It does not mean you're going to get the job, but I will always do my damnedest to consider anyone for any role, especially utility stuff.
Which leads to my next question, because I think all of you guys are open-minded on this panel, and you guys have increased over the years, like Cort said. It started off, you know, in the 80s and 90s one way, and then your thought pattern changed when it comes to diversity. However, I get a lot of emails about this and about racism within the stunt community. How do you tackle a peer or a stunt coordinator when it comes to handling racism in the stunt community? Who wants to tackle that?
Well, after you slap them, then you can have a discussion. All right?
That's just it. You know,
When you're not on the set, you can slap.
when it comes to
Right.
true
Well,
racism. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. That's a troublesome question, and it's being addressed in different situations, different groups, and everybody have different ways of approaching it. There's overt racism, okay? And when I say overt racism, I call it diet racism, okay? It's not blunt, it's not obvious, but it's something I said. It's something I said years ago, where if you show up on a set, and yes, I'm happy to be there. Yes, I'm blessed to go ahead and be part of a 50-person crew. But when I look around, I see 45 white people. It's like, wait a second, we're all just running across the street from this explosion. And like, there really was no other Asians, Latin, Indian, whatever, you know? So, and I won't call, and here's a problem. You can't call that racism because there is some minorities. So at the end of the day, hey, look at my, 5 or 6 I hired. I'll just say you got to have proper balance with that. But, there's some people who are very obvious. And I would say, just look at the hiring practices. Look at if someone has a show that required Blacks. Got it. You were needed. You were needed. Let's not get it twisted, okay? Now watch the next show and see what they hire when there was NDs available. I think that's a very obvious thing. Yeah. Do not hire us when you need us. We're not a prop. We're not a tool. We're not for you to meet a quota, okay?
100.
Be realistic about your hiring practices. Be fair, be honest, but at the same time, how do you hold somebody accountable? How do you make them accountable? Because we're our own bosses. When we get that script, when we go through the script and when there's NDs available, we hope and pray someone is fair in their hiring practice of those 10 people, that you're going to allow me to pay my bills and take care of my family this month because you were just and fair by being diverse in the 10 you hired. I can't say, how do you hold people accountable at that point?
I like that. Eddie, I like that.
Yeah, I ran through it early on in my career a little bit where people said, we don't need you guys or whatever. And I just made a mental note. It was somebody I never went back to and never talked to again. And later on in life, never hired him. They have no need for him. So that's the other side of it. But it also taught me a lesson of why we're all here, to be diverse, that, hey, you know, do your job. Our job is to look for people and be diligent. And if, you know, there's people you're never going to change. So you just pick the people you want to work with at a certain point in life.
Okay, Cort?
So the one thing stunt performers have to remember is a stunt coordinator is only as good as his performers or her performers that are working for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you know, you find somebody who is a racist, or they pay their stunt adjustments, don't work for that person. Don't bring your skill to them.
Exactly, that's what I say.
You know what? And more, especially now when there's more education out there, more and more people will stop working for that person. That person will work less and less because they can't get what needs to be done. So that's how I would address it. You know, I don't know. That's what I'll say about it.
Okay, we'll take one of our last questions and then we'll have some final thoughts. Is there any way to ensure or know when we submit or introduce ourselves via email, as such as when you receive it? Submission via Stunt Contact, for instance, we aren't sure who was receiving those from Stunt Contact, or let alone it being viewed. So how can we know that we are all being seen?
I will say a lot of times on Stunt Contact, sometimes the email address is wrong. So I would say just talk to people, find out. A lot of times I do my own postings on things like that. I make sure my submission website is on there. It's the correct one. Every now and then they'll put the wrong one and screw it up. So I also ask for patience with this. One thing you have to remember is that all of us on here, whenever we get a show going, we automatically get 400 to 800 new friends that want to talk to us and get some time. And like we're all discussing, we want to watch everything. We want to check everything out. Sometimes it takes a while. So don't get impatient. Don't take it personal and ask why I'm not hiring you. It's not a personal thing. Sometimes it takes a while to get through all the footage, get through all, and I watch them all. I will find time and look at everything, but talk to people and figure out the correct email address. A lot of us that are doing shows, everyone knows where to submit now. So it's not always going to be looking at the stunt. I don't mean to bash Stunt Contact, but they get a lot of it wrong.
Before we conclude to your final thoughts from each panelist, I want to give a shout out to Tammy Tanaka for organizing, and also Tammy, as each panelist give their final thoughts, if you could post their contact information, so they could spend a minute giving their final thoughts before we conclude. And we're going to start with Cort. Do you have any final thoughts on diversity in stunts?
Yeah, we should just think about it as stunt performers and move forward, hone your skills. Your skills are what sell yourself. And if your skills are honed, it doesn't matter what color you are, you're going to work. So that's the way I see it.
I like that. Eddie?
Yeah, what Cort said. And look, we're going to be in challenging times now. It's going to be difficult for people, sadly. You know, so you're going to have to put yourself out there a little bit harder, and you're going to have to be a little bit more patient, because we don't know, all of us. I have a meeting at 2:30 with Warner Brothers again, and there are no rules. You know, they're talking about possibly having core group of people that they're going to hold, but then they're saying that's illegal. There's just so much unknown right now. So, you know, Larnell was saying, you know, hone your skill, put yourself out there. That's about the best thing you can do for now. And hopefully we can get through this.
Yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Thom Williams?
Touching real quick on, there was a question up here that I saw disappear that actually caught my attention. And it was something about the fear mentality in our business.
Oh, yeah.
Fear of speaking out, fear of calling people out who are racists. So there's been a few discussions about that lately, because we all know some of the cranky old people that are still around that say stupid shit on social media or say stupid shit on set and disrespect people. Don't put up with it. The fact that you do not like that person and do not react well to them is not going to cost you a future. You know, just stand up for yourself. If you find an overt racist like that, call them out. Have proof. Don't go after someone and make it a big mistake, but address it. it's not going to change if it doesn't get addressed. And then, yes, train your asses off.
Thank you. Lauro?
So I just want to piggyback off what Thom said, and you know what, performers need to grow cojones and just believe in yourself and work for people that you believe in. Don't, if somebody's a racist, you know what, don't be wishy-washy and be nice to them one day and then talk behind their back another. Stand up for yourself, stand up for what you believe in and follow that path. And the same thing with coordinators. Safety is paramount. So don't let a director or a producer push down your throat who you're going to hire as a double or an ND or whatever. You are in charge of the safety. You're in charge of people's lives, life and death in this situation. So stand up for what you believe in and open your mind to people of color and to everybody around you. Live in the real world. It's only going to change if we all quit being wishy-washy and try and be nice so we get that next job. No, be real, be precise, be professional, and move forward.
Okay, thank you. Larnell?
Yes, everybody kind of said the same thing I agree with. Stand up for yourself, hold people accountable, have your skills on point, you know, because at the end of the day, you're the reason we work is because you make us look good job after job, you know. So whether you're part of a new crew looking for an opportunity or whatever, you know, don't look at yourself as a quota. You know, we're definitely trying to diversify how we hire, but just continue to make sure you're more than ready. So that way I can hire you over and over. And hey, even if I'm in Canada, I can't get you out there, I'll be happy to recommend you to Eddie, to Thom, to, you know, Jwaundace, somebody else, Dorenda, someone I know, like, hey, sir, I don't have nothing on my show, but guess what? I think you're doing well. So, hey, Thom, what you think of this person or whatever? I have no problem doing it. I've done it in the past. So just make sure the skills are right. The video's there, the proof is there to back up, but do not look at yourself as a quota hire. Be beyond your skin if you can, because your skills say I'm good no matter what is required of me. And I'm very valuable to any coordinator. View yourself as that. And we're going to start viewing you as that as well. Okay.
Thank you. Angelica?
Sorry, I'm going to jump in real quick and say goodbye, everybody. It was a pleasure. And
tell Charlene I said hello and we'll be in touch. Okay, Lauro?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Love
Okay.
y'all. Bye.
Lauro.
Bye, Lauro.
Safe travels.
Bye.
It was an honor. Thanks.
I would say to start, just backing up one quick step with the stunt contact list. If you see a Canadian stunt coordinator on there, a lot of the times our shows, we're not going to be hiring from the States unless it might be something super specific that it's a size or a real specific skill. We don't typically do that. So please read very carefully when you're going through that, because when I have a Canadian show and then I get, 300 of you want to work for me and I want to hire all of you and I can't. And I think those of you that are on here, that I've seen some of your names that send me stuff, I do reply to everybody though, and that takes some time. Just reach out to your coordinators, let them know what you're doing. For myself anyway, I always try to get diverse performers on my shows as much as I can. I mean, one of the shows I had, there was a killer and you couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. And I made the double a woman. And, doing those types of things, it's about opportunity. So I just want to give as many opportunities to as many people as I can. That's really all that I can do. And I'll just keep pushing to do that.
Thank you. Dorenda?
Well, one of the things I just want to say is be the kind of performer that you would want to hire. Regardless of who I hire, you have to be talented. You're not even going to get in the room without being talented. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to the most talented person in the world and somebody that is extremely talented, but also is a good person and I enjoy working with them, that's the one I want to hire. And so be the person that you would want to hire. Show up early, leave late. Say please, say thank you, do all the things that your mom taught you to do. Be a good person. And it doesn't matter, there is no color that goes with being a good person. So be the person you want to be the person you want to hire, and be excellent. And at the end of the day, when you get to the top, bring the next guy with you. And if you do that, then I think we're going to have a great industry.
Thank you. I hope we answered all of your questions today. This is I mean, this meeting has been long overdue. I feel like this seminar on this, and I'm very honored and grateful that we got a really good selection. Why are y'all smiling? I'm having my serious face.
I'm just messing with Larnell already.
We're proud of you. We're proud of you. We're proud of you too. So
Oh, stop. That I got this great coordinators who I have respected from my entire career, who've harassed me, who've seen the good and the bad sides of me. I'm just really honored that I got everyone together. I'm honored to the Television Academy for spearheading this. Dorenda, thank you for making that happen. I especially want to thank all of my members on StuntPOC, because I see you out there. I see you working. I'm posting your videos. I am, and you guys are showing up and showing out. And I'm grateful that this has become an invaluable tool in the community. And I hope I gain more members on it. And it started from 2 years ago with my small board of us talking about this. Thank you to my StuntPOC board on this. Thank you to my mentors who are Demita and Dorenda and I'm sorry, I'm rambling. D. Bryant, thank you, sister. I'm talking about. I want to thank everyone for watching and tuning in. And if you have any questions, just feel free to email me at Jwaundace@stuntpoc.com. There will be more webinars coming forward on different topics. The next one I'm hoping to do is about women, from hair to makeup to diversity among women. So you guys have a great day. Stay healthy, stay whole. And if you know, diversity includes all of us. We are diversity in the stunt community. Thank you. And
Thanks, JC.
Well said.
Yeah, thank you.
guys, try to
Very good.
I'm going to end this video. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
All right,
Thanks.
take care.
Love
bye,
you, Jay.
everybody.
See you guys.
Larnell,